Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this is Sunless Sea. The official line is that Sunless Sea is a game of exploration, survival, and loneliness set in the award-winning Victorian Gothic universe of Fallen London. It is developed by Fail Better Games Ltd., and I would consider it a mixed genre game. It's kind of a horror game, but I'm not talking about jump scare, oh my god, horror, but more like Lovecraftian creepiness and kind of this slow building odd terror, I guess you'd say. It's also a bit of a roguelike in the sense that the world is procedurally generated, so every time you play it's different, and when your character dies, they're dead, and you have to then start over as another character. It's connected to a browser game that I had never heard of myself, but it's called Fallen London. As you can see here, Fallen London, a city of 10,000 stories. And so there's a rich kind of world setting that's been built up. But generally what's going on is that the city of London, I guess during Victorian times, sunk down under the earth. And now it's in this great cavern that is covered mostly by ocean called the Unterzee. Or I guess the Unterzee, if you want to be really German about it. And so it's just this kind of dark and creepy world. It's perfect for this channel because it's procedurally generated, right? I love that. It's roguelike and replayable, so I love that. And it's just weird and dark and interesting, but the music and the art, while sparse, is beautiful. And there's just a lot that you can do and explore, a lot of words, a lot of reading. It's very Marcus Aurelius LP. So I've put a lot of time into this. I've explored my own version of the game. I've been through 3 Marcus Aureliuses, Marcus Aurelii so far, but we are going to start a new game from scratch. And so when I say it's procedurally generated, it is, but the Fallen London itself and the whole kind of left edge of the map is the same every game. It's just as you go to the right, to the east, that things change. Another oddity is you can't play the game in 720p, so I'm playing it and recording it in 1080, which I'm sure many of you will like. But okay. So 3 decades ago, in the reign of Victoria, London was stolen by bats. Now it lies a mile below the surface. It was dreadfully inconvenient for everyone, but it opened a vast black ocean to you. Welcome to the Unterzee. So we're going to choose a past. Decide who you were and what you want to be, and you now lodge in a room above the blind helmsman. So this is your home base, in a tavern. Who were you? Now you're a captain. Now you belong to the Unterzee. But who were you before? Well, in my previous playthroughs, I've been a ordained priest and a natural philosopher, so this time I'm going to try a street urchin. Your urchin gang cast you out when you grew too tall. You took to sea rather than graduate to larger crimes. That last big score was enough to buy a ship. And we get a bonus to veils. Let's talk a little bit about the attributes in this game. I said this game was many genres. It's also a bit of an RPG. You have hearts, which inspire, heal, defend. There's sometimes checks that test these attributes, and like for example, it's like a roll against them to see if you pass something. Veils is speed, stealth, and deception. It's my favorite stat. Pages is basically, well, when you're the natural philosopher, that's your main goal for the game, but pages represents like knowledge you gain. So every time you speak with somebody, every time you discover a new island, you gain these things like facts, like tidbits. And as you collect a certain number of those, they turn into pages. It's kind of like your memoirs. You're telling the tales of your exploration and your adventure. There's mirrors, which is detection and perception. So like, for example, having a bigger light on your boat gives you more mirrors. There's iron, which increases your combat ability, or specifically the damage you do. And then finally, there's your crew. The more crew you have, the faster your ship goes and the better everything works. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get up to a full complement of crew. But we're going to be a street urchin, which gives us a bonus to veils, which I like. The skill of subtlety and evasion. So each start gives you different bonuses. This one gives me a Longshanks gunner. This is the crew, by the way, up here. You have a mascot, a surgeon, a gunnery officer, a cook, a chief engineer, and a first officer. Now you can hire these people in London or when you meet them on your travels. And I should say not London, but fallen London. But the urchin apparently comes with a Longshanks gunner, which automatically improves your iron by +1. So we went from 25 to 26. We also have 25 veils, so that's our number 1 stat. Echoes are the currency the game uses, and we're going to have to be very careful with those. My first couple playthroughs, the problem that I had is I spent my echoes unwisely, and my ships basically ran out of fuel or food in the middle of the ocean. And if you run out of food, you can't eat your crew. This game is quite dark, as I said, but still very interesting. Okay. Low cunning on the high seas. That's our Longshanks gunner. Your friend, another Longshanks, knows a little of gunnery. Only a little, but she can help. Okay, so we choose an ambition. What does winning mean to us? So you can choose your father's bones, where there's a big quest where you try to find the bones of your father who was lost at sea. There's fulfillment, where you just want to gather as many tales as possible and write a book. And then there's wealth. I figure because we're a street urchin and we've never known wealth, that's a good enough reason to go to sea. So you know how it is to be poor. Now you want a mansion, servants, fine clothes, a family perhaps. Beyond the dreams. The Unterzee is full of riches, death and darkness too, but it's worth the gamble. To win, gather a substantial retirement fund, upgrade your lodgings to a mansion, and retire. We can do this. That'll be a good goal for us. A last scrap of paperwork. Captain, Captain, what do you wish to be called? Well, let's say, because I am a street urchin and come from a low income status, I would like to be called my lord, because it just makes me sound a bit more pompous and regal, and perhaps you really do come from a noble family, who's to know. Alright, I will now be addressed as my lord when I am on shore. Okay. So, this character will be Marcus Aurelius IV. Fourth iteration of Marcus Aurelius, and I like this. This is one of my favorite portraits. I've been through different ones, but I kind of like this one. It looks a bit menacing, but then again, this is the Unterzee, and it is not the place to be kind and simple. Okay, so this is your main, it's called your Gazetteer, and it's your main sheet. It's how you do everything. Now, if you're new to the game, there's advice for captains. I'm not new to the game, so I'm not going to look at that. I'm actually going to sell it to get some echoes. But if you're playing this, you definitely want to read this and everything it has to say. So you have your lodgings. At first, things will change. You'll add things, but at first you have your lodgings, and you have the city of fallen London. In your lodgings, you can read the morning paper, the unexpurgated Gazette, which gives you what's called recent news, which people in far-flung islands like to hear about, so it's a good thing to get whenever you can. And you also sometimes will gain supplies, which is very important. As you sail the ocean, the Unterzee, you gain terror, and the way to remove terror is to rest. There's other ways to do it, but this is the main one, but it's expensive. So 10 echoes removes 1 terror. So I tend to not like to do that. I try to find other solutions. Our goal is to eventually purchase a mansion. So the first thing we need to do is purchase a elegant townhouse, which costs 1,000 echoes. We're nowhere near that. But you can also do other things like write a will. The reason you'd want to write a will is if your character dies, you can pass on certain things to subsequent characters. And then you can do adorn your lodgings, convert a collection of outlandish artifacts into an heirloom, which you can pass on to your descendants, write a Song of the Sea, which is very hard. I don't think I'd ever be able to do that. You have to collect a lot of stuff. And then finally, you can retire when you feel like doing that. Okay, so we can go to check out London. So the main things you want to do at London, especially in the beginning, is the Admiralty. They will pay you to visit ports and just get an idea of what's going on. They will do this multiple times. What you do later on in the game is you plan routes where you can go to all these different ports and come back to London, and as a result you get echoes, supplies, and fuel. But occasionally, the Admiral will give you special missions as well. So first of all, we're going to ask if there's anything in particular that they need. And they want us to check out Gator's Mourn in the Corsair's Forest. So we don't know where that is, but when we find it, they want to kind of know what's going on. It's strategic information. And right now I can't meet with the actual Admiral, so I'm going to leave. Out into the foggy street. Turn your collar up, lad. There's the university, but we haven't been able to go there yet. There's Carouse in the Wolfstack docks. We can hire on more crew, put our ship to dry dock to repair it. Let's do that. Oh, we don't have a new recruit, so we're going to have to put on a crew. And what I said is you often have checks against your stats. So we have 26 hearts. So we have a 77% chance of gaining new crew, and it's going to cost us 30 echoes, which is quite a lot. But I need the crew, so let's give it a run. All right, rich pickings. Your tall tales find a ready audience. Scarred and seasoned men and women tramp aboard and find places to sling hammocks. So I've got a full crew, and I now have only 30 echoes. So luckily for me, I start off with a pretty good amount of fuel, which is 10, and enough supplies, which is 6. There are also shops in London where you can buy upgrades to your ship. You can sell things that you find as you travel, or you could buy supplies as well. Let's sell our advice for captains. We don't need that. Better engines if you need to. Now we have our gunnery officer and our mascot, and you can talk to your officers. You can spend a secret, which you get through traveling, to gain a +1 to any of your stats. In this case, it's iron. Apparently, you can proposition her. This game is really progressive. It doesn't matter if your character is male or female. You can proposition males or females. It lets you do whatever you want. I've always liked you, back when we were still on the rooftops. Maybe we should try that. The gunner has grown bored of subtlety. Ensure your iron is at least 20 points higher than your veils. So, that shouldn't be too hard. We have... Where are we here? Where's the veils? Actually, it will be hard, because our particular character is super strong in veils. So this is not going to work. Yeah, I think it'll take multiple games to get enough iron to cover 20 plus more than veils, especially because we're going to be adding more veils. So maybe this is not something we're going to do. But let's ask her what she wants from life. Why did you come to the Z? Khan's Shadow. It's like the flit at Z, right? No one to tell you what to say or do, and no one to kick you downstairs just because you got a little bit tall. Yeah. I'll be a faithful officer, but put me ashore at the Shadow, and I won't forget your... So she wants to go to Khan's Shadow, which is actually really far away. It's a different kind of country, I guess you'd say, in the Unterzee. So we can't do much with her right now. You have your journal, which gives you a whole bunch of interesting stuff. Memoirs, objectives, miscellaneous. Your hold is what's in your ship. You have curiosities, which is your money. The Invictus token basically means that we can't save the game. We either quit or we die. And that's fine. It makes the roguelike portion of the game more interesting. And now we have recent news, which we can trade with outlying colonies. So enough talking. It's been 15 minutes. Let's go. Let's sail out. So your boat has speeds. You can go forward at 1 or 2. You can be stopped, or you can go backwards at 1 or 2. You also have hull strength. You can upgrade to other ships later on. Again, by exploring new places, you gain information, tales, fragments. That's what they're called, fragments. And as you get more and more fragments, you gain pages and you gain secrets. So, for example, we just discovered the Echo Bazaar. So now we have 100 fragments. And you can see this little... Let me slow down. You can see this little bar filling up. this is how many pages we have. We have 25, and we get an additional page for every certain number of fragments. Right now we need 188 fragments more to gain a secret. I'm sorry. And we discovered the Department of Menace Eradication, which only gave us 2 fragments. Now you have down here some options. You have a Z-Bat, which basically, when you're out in open Z, it will tell you if there's any nearby islands, and it works better if you're stopped. Then you have your light. The reason you'd want to put down your light is it increases your veils, but it also raises your terror. You can repair the ship at sea if you feel like it, but I like to repair it at home base. You can double your power if you're interested in doing that, but it could blow up your engine. And there's pause. The Gazetteer is the main interaction screen. There's the chart, which shows you the overall world map. So here we are, Fallen London. We started here. These are ports where you can land. Here's things you found. Not everything you find can be interacted with. Most things actually can't, like the Echo Bazaar, the Department of Menace Eradication, and the Bad Stevener's Abyss. They're just things that give you experience. You can move the map around, zoom it in and out. And when you see a circle like this, like kind of a light circle, that's a place where you can actually dock. So you can do that if you'd like. You get up close to it, E to dock, and then you can interact in the Gazetteer. So this is the light ship. So you can speak to the crew or purchase fuel. Now their fuel costs twice as much as what it costs in Fallen London, so I'm not going to do that. But let's speak to the crew. They long for news of home. So basically I can trade them my recent news. And what I get out of that is one Z story. In the bleaching glare of the lens, among the smells of oil and metal, you sip tea and chat. The Z's terror resides. Now, if I had terror, maybe I'd lose some. But now Z stories are also something that you can trade with certain people who are interested in that. So, let's get going again. As I said, I kind of know where most of the things on the far left side of the map are because that doesn't change. As you move further east into the Abyss, the locations of certain things change. But at this point, I'm just going to go to places that I know. In fact, there's something that I need to do that I forgot to do. So I'm going to go back to Greater London and do that, which is pick up somebody. I've never played as the Urchin before, so this extra veils might be really helpful because it makes the ship go faster, which makes the game go faster. It is kind of a slow-moving game at certain parts, but that's okay. It really kind of adds to the charm of it. You can see that as you travel, your hunger goes up. Once it gets to here, you eat a supply, and your fuel goes down. Okay, so actually... Oh, and when you land, you can collect messages from the Harbor Master. As a result, you get a free evening. Someone wants to sign on. So it tells you a couple things. Also, we have this gentleman here who wants to talk with us. A very fine evening to you, Captain. What you might call mentor is very fond of adventurous Z-Captains, and he would like to offer you what might call a dispensation on account of he is so fond of Z-Captains. Behind the Blind Bruiser on the dock stands a dray piled high with fuel and supplies. So we can accept it, we can inquire, or we can refuse. Let's inquire. Who is this boss of yours? Is there a catch to all this? He runs a very fine and very liberal establishment just across the river, what is much patronized by sailors and by men of wit and vinegar. A public house, and there is no obligation to speak of. My patron would hope only that you might remember him kindly, and I suppose that if the opportunity should arise for you to return his kindness, then I do not imagine he would refuse your offer. Sure, I'm a street urchin, I need money, why not? We'll take some free fuel. But now we've gained suspicion, so when we land on the docks, if they want to search my ship, that could be a problem. But we have 10 fuel and 5 supplies. So we're doing really well now. But we want to go offer passage to a tomb colonist. Well, let's see who our recruit is. The Presbyterate Adventuress. She's a gunnery officer. Well, we already have a gunnery officer. What's this one have? And it costs 50 echo, which is way too much. I don't know much about the Presbyter Adventuress, so I'm going to... she increases iron and veils, whereas this lady only increases iron. So it'd be nice, yeah, it'd be a step up, but I can't really afford it right now. Or we can get an Irrepressible Cannoneer. Only 20 echo. And he substantially increases iron, which actually she wants. So why not? We really shouldn't spend the money this early, but we have plenty of fuel and supplies. Let's bring him on. But also what we want to do is we want to offer passage to a tomb colonist. So one of the little bits of history about London Below, or Fallen London, is that the dead don't die. They simply just turn into mummies, I guess. I mean, you can die if you die like at sea or get lost, but certain dead just turn into mummies. And so there's a whole place for them called the tomb colonies where you can take them to, and they pay you. So we're going to take this guy to the tomb colonies. It's oddly difficult to die in Fallen London, but when a Londoner is too tatty and wretched to live, they wrap themselves in bandages and take ship for the tomb colonies. Your crew cart these ones aboard in padded coffins. They'll sleep out until the journey is done. The tomb colonist is in your hold. Take them north to the colony of Venderblight and sell them there. And I know where Venderblight is. So, okay. Well, folks, we are out of time, but I hope you enjoy this new series. Please give it a like if you think it's interesting. It really gets kind of deep and, like I said, very dark as things go forward. So we're going to give it a try and see how it goes. Once again, I am Marcus Aurelius. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.